In this video, I'm going to be sharing some quick fire tips so that you can paint up the gold trim on this Black Legion's armor to a display standard.
That the entirety of the cosmos is accessible through each and every individual's mind, connecting to the great mind, the great spirit.
Welcome back to the Sharon Collectors. So in this series of videos, I'll be sharing with you guys some quick fire tips so that you can apply them directly into your painting and take your painting up to the next level. In this video, we'll be focusing specifically on the gold elements of the happiest Space Marine, the Nachmund Kill Team Black Legion leader. So before we move on, come on guys, just click the like and sub button so that we can go on to talk about the concepts of how you can paint up the gold elements on the Black Legionnaire. So the first quick fire tip that I'd like to share is, because we're painting the gold on a bad guy, try not to use too many warm colors. The colors that I use, as you can see right here, started off with a little bit of green and a little bit of brown in it, because you don't want to make the colors too warm, which is the color language of a good guy character. Alright, so now I'm just going to talk about good guy gold versus bad guy gold. So the good guy gold tends to be a little bit warmer and the color tends to be just a little bit more saturated. As you can see right here, when I'm painting the good guy gold, you can see a lot of the colors tend to be of the warmer sort. Even the base color tends to be warmer, and when I place in the shadows, it is of course of a warmer brown. Next up, I'm going to talk about the bad guy gold. So for bad guy gold, usually you want to use a cooler color, sometimes a bit of green, sometimes a bit of purple. In this case, I've used a purple. However, in the example later, I'm going to be using a green. As you can see, the mid-tones tend to be of a cooler yellow, more towards the green colors, and then the oranges tend to be a little bit more desaturated. This is how I reduce the color temperature to create this cooler gold color. So now with them side by side, you can really see the differences between the good guy gold and bad guy gold. And I would say that if you want to paint your miniatures up, you could really differentiate them up with the color language right here. The second tip that I'd like to share with you guys is to have a little bit of variation in the non-metallic metal. As you can see right here, when I'm painting up the gold non-metallic metal, I try to mix it up a little bit, try to have some areas with a little bit more orange, try to have some areas that are a little bit more yellow. This helps make the entire composition just a little bit more complex. Alright, moving on, we're going to have some variation of color. Even though we are painting bad guy gold, it's not out of the question to actually do some color variation. So because the light is coming from the top left hand corner, I tend to warm up the area closer to the light, and then with the reflected light, I tend to have more orange tone towards the shadows, and this is going to make the color composition look a little bit more complicated and makes the gold look a lot more realistic, because in real life gold actually reflects a lot of the environment, such as the ground, which more often than not is a warm color, and a little bit of the sun, which is more yellow color towards the light source. And the third thing is, always remember where the light is coming from. I'm painting this Space Marine from the top left hand corner, unlike the usual way that I'm painting from the top right hand corner, because this composition demands it. So the light direction has to be very coherent, as you can see right here when I'm painting up the non-metallic metal trims on this pauldron right here. Alright, so with all these concepts out of the way, let's see me apply them on the model right now. So as I mentioned, we're going to be painting the bad guy gold for this Chaos Space Marine. I'm going to be using German Field Grey, and this German Field Grey is desaturated green color that I'm going to be using for the base colors. I know that this is kind of far from the original gold colors that you might think about, but think about it. Green is actually just next to yellow, and that will actually be very suitable if you're going to use yellow such as ochres as a highlight later. So as I demonstrate right here, I'm going to be using a mix right here, mostly ochres and a little bit of medium flesh tone to add in a little bit of orange and burnt umber to drop the value. So as I'm placing the highlights here, I'm making sure that I'm very cognizant of where the light is coming from, and in this case, I'll be painting the light from the top left hand corner. At this point of time, you want to make sure that the light source is coherent and the highlights are placed large enough so that you can place further highlights later on. Moving on, I'm going to be using pure ochre here. As you can see, pure ochre is a lot more yellow in nature compared to the previous mix. And this is going to be my mid-tone. It's very important to decide which value and which color is your mid-tone. And using this, I am able to create larger highlights which can frame the extreme highlights later on. Don't worry, we'll go to the orange tones in just a little bit. Moving on, I'm adding in a little bit of buff right here. Buff is a purely yellow tone. It's a high value desaturated yellow. And as you can see right here, without using white and using a slightly higher value color, I'm able to place extreme highlights here. And you can see that this bad guy gold is a lot cooler in temperature compared to the usual golds that I've been painting. And I think color language is really important because if you demonstrate it well, your miniatures will look just right. Alright, next up I'm going to be using pure buff for the extreme highlights here. Why I choose to use buff rather than white is because I want my extreme highlights to actually have a little bit of yellow tone in them. And right here I'm going to be picking out the forms and the shapes to redefine the entire area that I'm highlighting from, which is the top left hand corner. As you can see, this cool gold is looking really nice on this Chaos Space Marine. And there we have it. This is the finished Chaos Space Marine with his gold non-metallic armor painted. I finished off the model by painting a little bit more orange tones into the shadows, and sometimes I'm just using a glaze of Guilliman flesh to achieve that. I hope you found this useful. Oh, you're still here. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. So if you really could, please leave a comment down below. Let me know how this quick fire tips is good, or did it help you, or anything like that. There are more videos coming up for this quick fire series, so you don't want to miss out. I'm going to wrap it up really quickly. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Remember, if you want to support the channel even further, head on to the Patreon. I'd like to thank all my patrons for allowing me to do this, and I hope to see you in the next quick fire tips video. See you.
Using technologies that interface with consciousness and that we can make contact as